Welcome to Microsoft Flight Simulator, folks, and today we're checking out the Black Square TBM 850 in the Pimax Crystal. If you're not aware of Black Square, well, simply I've shown all of their aircraft on the channel, so where have you been? But essentially what they do is take the default Asobo birds. Everything else has been completely changed, including the pressurization, the electrical systems, the flight modeling, the checklists. God, everything is exactly how you'd find it in a real TBM 850. So if you fancied owning one, guys, you know, a multi-million-pound luxurious general aviation aircraft, well, now's your chance. And check out this cockpit. Oh my goodness me. In the Pimax Crystal, looking at the TBM from in VR like this, it is an absolute treat. And I will confess, the first time I sat in this cockpit, I was just here for half an hour looking at everything in the Pimax Crystal. I didn't even switch anything on, just admiring the work that's gone into this. It's absolutely phenomenal. And a massive congratulations to Black Square for bringing this particular TBM 850 to life. So before we get into this video and start the aircraft up from the checklist, I'd just like to say that this video is proudly sponsored by FS Academy. And they do have a new series of tutorials and mission packs available called FS Academy Commander, which puts you in a range of different situations, like landing on the Hudson, for instance, dealing with challenging weather, engine failures, the whole lot. And they're very engaging and from a real world pilot. So I'd highly recommend you check them out. And it's a huge pleasure for FS Academy to sponsor this channel. It really means a lot. And the reason why they are sponsoring this channel is because they're so good. Simple as that, really. So let's get this aircraft fired up. And we are going to simulate a gear failure as well, and the necessary checklist for that. So I'm looking forward to doing that, but we'll just get the checklist up because you'll see that everything is covered here, from the usual starting the engine to takeoff, climb, but also the emergency stuff as well, because this will simulate a hot start. Even the inertial separator is modelled and it will simulate, this is crazy, it will simulate FOD going into the engine depending on where you are. So if you're in a grass strip, you know, or in the desert, make sure you are using the inertial separator, in fact using it as per the checklist, otherwise you will find that you'll damage the engine. In fact, I'll even show you a video from the Just Flight YouTube channel of the inertial separator being modelled. You can see there it's even animated. And before I forget, you can even take a look at the engine here. So we can open the hood, like so. I love how you can do this in VR as well. We can now look at the engine in detail. Now, unfortunately, I'm in VR, so I can't really look really closely. But I'll show you some shots now of how detailed that engine looks. And again, it's great to see that Black Square are sort of up in the game and not just focusing on, you know, the important stuff like the high fidelity of the systems, but also focusing on what the exterior model looks like as well. So in terms of the sounds, they are pretty much default, although there's a host of new custom sound effects as well, and they are very noticeable indeed. I'm actually okay with that. I'm not always okay with that, but since Asobo did such a great job with the TBM sounds anyway, I don't think there's any need for them to be redone. So just to say a huge shout out to Just Flight for sending over this preview copy. And I am using the Pimax Crystal. I'm not using their microphone though today, I'm using a mod mic simply because the Pimax Crystal microphone is causing me all sorts of problems, annoyingly. So before start checklist, we'll go through this very quickly. It seems like most of this stuff is in the correct position when you start it. However, bear in mind that if you don't shut it down correctly, then it will remember certain switches. It has state-saving features. So make sure that, again, you look after it and you close down the aircraft down for the night. Otherwise, you're going to find that your battery might be flat or something like that. So, crash lever is down. I'll just put it here so we can see it. Generator selector is on, well, it's not on main at the moment. Let's just put that on main now. It's on main. Starter is off. Ignition is on auto or off. It's off at the moment. Exterior lights are all off. Gyro instruments are all off. That's over there. Emergency lights, we'll test them. And if you don't know where things are, guys, and I don't know where everything is at the moment because it's still new to me, you can use the very intuitive checklist system. That's working okay. Circuit breakers, by the way, are all down here. They are modelled and they will pop out if there is a failure. And I would urge you to watch the tutorial videos on the Just Flight YouTube channel. I will link them in the description below because it will go into far more detail than what I'm doing here, of course, because it's just so much to learn. De-icing switches are all off. Landing gear control is down. AP trim, that's here, is off. Radio masses are off. Bleed air is off. Air conditioning is off. Dump valve switch, that's this guy here, is off. It's interesting because this TBM, there's many things about it that will remind you of the 900 version, but things are in a different place. And it's interesting to see that when they did update this to the 900 variant, how some of these features like the auxiliary fuel pump and the AP trims are actually on the overhead panel with the 900 variant. So that's off. Tank selector is left or right. Actually, let me just check that one. Yes, it is. Good stuff. ELT, that is now armed. That's down here. Try and do this fairly quickly, guys, for you. Parking brake is set. Manual override lever, that's this down here. All of this is model, guys. You know, nothing, no stone has been left unturned with this. It really, truly feels like a real rendition of the 850. It's amazing, really. Anyway, let's just crack on here. The auxiliary fuel selector is in manual mode. Auxiliary boost pump is off. Manual override lever, that all works down here. Power lever is now at idle and the condition lever is cut off. The flap control lever is in the up position. We can check the battery supply by clicking this guy. Look at this, all these buttons here, and they have a certain... Can you hear that? I'm not sure if you can hear that, guys, because sorry if you can't, but I'm just clicking all these buttons because I like all of the details. All of these things have their own little clicky sound. They're not all the same. So that's where some of this, you know, the sounds have been updated and upgraded. We're not going to be using the GPU today, so we will check the volts now. So we'll just put the battery on and check the volts are within parameters. 25 volts, that's looking good. Exterior light test, not quite sure where that is. Oh, it's that little button there. Very cool. In fact, actually, I need to take my landing lights off. Keep the taxi light on for now. Yeah, that's fine. That all looks good. Fuel, got plenty of that today. It's only a short flight. Advisory panel. Now, the TBM 850 has 2 advisory panels, so it's important to make sure that both are working correctly. You can see there the highlight switch, which is a bit annoying. Just get rid of that. So we'll do test 1. It's a beautiful thing, especially in a high-resolution headset, guys. In VR, it's wonderful. It really is. So you can see here we've got lots of other things to test. The oxygen switch should be extinguished, which is... yeah, I'm guessing that has now extinguished on the annunciator panel. Interior lights as required, so we can maybe get a bit of lighting going in here, because one thing about the Black Square aircraft, they do have a beautiful lighting in the cabin, which is all modelled, of course. In fact, what I'll do is, yeah, I think that won't actually be working until the engines are on. I'm not quite sure, but we'll leave that off for now. Environmental panel light test, that's down here. I'm only zooming in, guys, for you. I don't need to do that in the Crystal, of course, but... flaps. Okay, we're going to now test them to make sure they go down correctly. We can go in the back as well, by the way, because this has been also upgraded. Looking good. We're currently sat on the ground at Burning Blue Design Wickenby, which is my new favourite airfield, simply because this is my local airfield in real life. Landing gear lights, make sure they are all working. I presume it's these down here. Pitot heat, I guess we need to check now to see whether they extinguish on the annunciator panel. So 1 and 2, I'm just going to do these both. You see there, they do extinguish. That's all good there. Nearly ready, guys. So that's all done. De-ice panel, light test. That's down here. Look at that log. Let's do that again so you can see it. Oh, it's so good in it. It's brilliant. And source selector, which is this. We're now going to switch that to the off position. Right then. Before engine start, pre-flight inspection has been complete. That's one thing that would be cool to have a walk around. Nose baggage door has been closed. Engine compartment is closed. Cabin access door is latched. Both these doors work, by the way. Parking brake still set. Seat belts fastened. Oxygen pressure. We'll check that now. Where is that? Oh, it's down here. Oh, I see. So again, I can read that. I'm not sure if you can see that, guys. I'll try and zoom in. But that's looking good. See, all these things that normally would be inopt with the Asobo TBM. You know that sinking feeling when you press a button or you try something in the aircraft and it just doesn't work. It's just an immersion breaking thing. You're not going to get that with this, guys. You're just not going to get that. Make sure the passenger oxygen is off. It is. Because all of that will work. You will get hypoxia. That's all modelled, of course, in the Black Square TBM 850. Microphone is set to normal. I presume so. Yep, it is. It's now time to switch the ignitions on. So we'll put that to on, actually, for the start. Landing gear down, radio master on if clearance required. No, we won't bother doing that. We'll switch that on once the engine has been fired up. So it's now time to switch the battery to the on position. Horn test, which is up here. That seems to be working really well. Door annunciator light has been extinguished. That's correct. We've checked our fuel. The fuel selector should be in auto mode. It's not, but it will be in a second. There we go. You see, guys, you know, I'm trying to demonstrate this because using the checklist system gives you an idea of the high fidelity of this model. And we've all flown the default Asobo TBM 900, and I'm pretty sure by now you'd be already well on your way because you wouldn't have done any of these checklists simply because they're not available. So it's really great to see that. You can hear the ticking there of the ignition. So we'll get cracking here. Engine instruments are looking good. ITT test. Ah, look at this log. So you can check that. Sorry, let me just get rid of that tooltip out of the way and I'll show you this again. ITT test. And the gauges, by the way, they're so smooth and they look beautiful. Really very nicely done. ITD eliminated, ITD needle functioning. Exterior lights as required. Right, we're ready for engine start. And again, remember folks, this particular model has all of the simulation that you'd expect from the real TBM. So it will hot start or have a hung start if you're not careful. It can happen. I'm going to sound like Steve-O now as we start this aircraft up. So once again, power lever is to the idle position, prop. I presume that will be fully forward in a moment, and we'll keep obviously the condition lever to the cutoff until we get a good engine start. So back to on with the battery. Auxiliary boost pump to on, which is over here. That's on the annunciator panel, so that's correct. Fuel pressure light has extinguished. Yep, that's correct. Fuel pressure is in the green, so we're now looking for that here. Ignition to auto. Like so. And it's now time to start the aircraft. And I'm feeling a bit nervous because that's how you would feel in the real thing. So, I'm now going to say the famous thing that Steve-O does. We are checking for any hung starts or hot starts. And I've got many hours in the X-Plane hot start version of this aircraft. Or very similar anyway. It's not the same model, but it's similar. So it does feel quite uncanny. So it looks like we're sort of maxing out at about 16-17%. We're now going to introduce fuel. Checking the ITT rise there. Watching the gauges like a hawk. NG is rising. And it's now in the green. It's looking like we've got a good start, folks. Thank goodness for that. We can breathe a sigh of relief now. So after starting the engine, we now can switch on the gyro. We can check the prop de-ice. We've got a green light there, that's good. Same with the left and right windshield heat. You get the idea, folks. Pretty amazing stuff. I won't go through every single checklist now just to save time for this preview, but you get the idea. So bleed needs to be now switched to the auto position, that's over here. See, things are in a different place to where you'd normally find them. Whoops. Put that to the auto position. AP trims can be switched on. And all of this can be tidied up here. That's all good there. Look at that. Even the attitude indicator, the way that's coming online. And you can hear all of the different sounds. There's definitely a lot more new sounds that I haven't heard before. With the DMAF speakers of the Crystal, you can really hear them very well, and they do sound beautiful. Right, radio master can be switched on. Listen to that beep, fantastic. And the ethos master as well. Oh, that sound, I've heard that so much on Steve-O videos. It's great to hear that in the real thing. Sorry, in the simulator version. Feels like the real thing. See what I mean? I'm getting sort of confused what's real and what isn't, thanks to the Black Square level of high fidelity. It's just crazy. So here with the system failures, you've got lots of options here. That's your engine condition. You can repair the engine, but you can also set your own failures. And this is the mean time for each failure. And as I say, you've got random or scheduled failures, the global failure rate. You can really go into this with a crazy amount of depth, because each failure you can set that to happen, say after takeoff or at a set number of hours. Just superb. Love it. Right then, so let's just check here. So the ethos is now on electric trim. We can test that down here, but that's working fine. We're pretty confident that's working. We'll now switch on the inertial separator. Very important to keep that engine free from any FOD. That would be very scary and ruin that very expensive engine. We want to keep it in tip-top condition. So at this point, folks, I think we're looking good. Just put the yoke back on again. On the enunciator panel there, we've got the inertia separator and parking brake. So in order, I'd presume it's simulated just like the real TBM. To release the parking brake, make sure that you press the toe brakes in and then release the toe brake, and then you're all good to go there. So, wow, a lot going on with this video. As you can see, a lot to talk about, and I'm only sort of brushing the surface of the capabilities of this add-on. And no doubt you will see this a lot. You know, I'll be showcasing this TBM quite a lot in my videos from now on, because I will be flying this a lot. And I'm very tempted to do a ferry fly on the channel, so please let me know if you're interested in that. So welcome to Wickenby once again. We're going to take off and head to Waddington for a couple of touch and goes. On the second touch and go, I'm going to fail the landing gear, and then we're going to have to go through the procedure to do that. Just to give you an idea of what to expect from this amazing rendition. And since Wickenby has a very short runway, this also will showcase the short field capabilities of the TBM as well. So for that, we're going to go full flaps. God, Oh, this cockpit is so beautiful. I personally prefer this over the glass cockpits. I just think there's a lot more character to it. You can see the needles, the gauges. It's a very nice mixture. And yeah, to me, this makes me very happy. Much prefer analog gauges, but I'm sure, you know, that's a personal thing. So we'll just do our before takeoff checklist. I know we're on the runway, but we'll gloss over that. Parking brake is set and it is illuminated on the annunciator panel. Terrain test, I'll just zoom in for you guys so you can see that. That's the terrain test, and we'll also do the terrain warning light as well. So listen to this.
Sync rate. Don't sync.
That's brilliant, isn't it? How that's all modelled.
500. Pause system test. Okay.
Great stuff. Annunciator light test. See here we've got an engine trend monitor as well. That looks really cool, doesn't it? We'll just test that. Not quite sure what that is. I'll have to read upon the manual on that one. Right, so now we're going to increase the power lever to 1900 RPM, and then we're going to put the propeller into feather mode. And there is a noticeable lag, more so than the default TBM 900, which is good to see because there is a lot of lag with these turboprops. And this does, you know, well, it does say that this is one of the most complex simulations of the turboprop that you can find in MSFS, and I believe it. Certainly feels like it. So I'll put that to feather mode. And then I presume, oh, I see, prop governor, hold to test whilst that's in feather. And that is, I love these little checklist lights, it does help you. It certainly helps you out a lot. Okay, hold to test, prop 1800 RPM. Right, I think guys, let's just crack on now. You get the idea, hopefully, of the level of fidelity of this and how I'm fumbling around because I'm new to this. And sorry for the late preview of this particular model. It will be out next week. So the time's recording, it will be out very, very soon. And as soon as it is released, I will update the link in the description below, and no doubt I will do another video of it once it's released as well, because I just love it. Right, I'm going to hold on the brakes here because we have got a short runway. And the flight modelling, you can definitely tell this is an 850, not a 900 model variant. But anyway, holding her on the brakes. Here we go. And I can immediately feel that pull with the Doffer LTH2. Honestly guys, motion rigs, if you can afford one, it's something I would definitely recommend. Very bumpy runway here. And let's get airborne. Fantastic. Gear coming up now. Flaps up. Notice the gear looks like it's going up a little bit slower as well. There's so many little details, guys. It's quite hard to review and showcase Black Square birds because really, ideally, I'd need about 3 hours of your time on a video to go through everything. And it would probably take me a whole month of learning the manual and understanding it before even making a video. And that's where I think the value for money is huge, because you're going to put 100 hours in this, if not more. And this is around £30, I believe, when it goes live next week. And I personally feel it's very good value for money. If you're the kind of simmer that craves that, you know, proper realism, it's as close as I'm ever going to get. So we're just going to back the prop off now. I'm going to keep the inertial separator off because we're going to be flying quite low. I love these analog gauges, and they behave so smooth. And just to let you know that even the all the navigational aids, they are affected by radio interference and things like that as well. And just they just look so clear and crisp. So the idea for this quick flight, because I've already been quite a while just showing you the checklist and everything, is we will just pop over to Waddington to do a couple of touch and goes. And what I'm going to do is basically fail the gear lever, and we'll have to do it manually via the emergency procedures. I thought that would be quite a cool thing to showcase. So, climb. Power lever, observe limits, cabin altitude, we're not worried about that today, we're not going very high. Cabin temperature as desired, that's all modelled by the way. The climate control or climate simulation is all modelled at the moment. It is, I don't understand Fahrenheit, here we go, 13 Celsius, so on the cool side, but that's okay. We're going to need to keep cool, especially what I'm going to do in a moment, because we are going to, as I say, do an emergency failure procedure of the gear. Something that Steve-O actually experienced in this aircraft, that's why I thought it'd be quite apt. There is Waddington to our 12 o'clock now. And yeah, we don't need any de-icing systems on today, so that's all good. So what we'll do is we'll brake for a downwind and just do a sort of normal pattern and touch and go, just so I can comment on the flight modelling and seeing how it differs and feels from the default TBM 900. You certainly feel the lack of power, and straight away I really sense the lag when you're inputting the power. When you're feeding the power in, there's definitely a lag that's great, far greater than the default bird, and that reminds me very much as well of the hot start TBM. And sorry to keep mentioning X-Plane, but really the only other high fidelity TBM simulation there is out there is that hot start version, and this definitely did, you know, it gives me vibes of that. I think the only thing I would like to see Black Square implement, if possible, is adding headphone simulation. I just think it would make it just be a nice finishing touch to have the opportunity to use headphones to quieten down the sound in the cockpit. So that's just a suggestion for the future. But that's the only thing I have a niggle on, really. Everything else just seems incredibly immersive. And I am feeling very different when approaching this TBM 850 compared to, say, a default bird. Because just knowing I need to do everything correctly, otherwise I will pay the price. So anyway, with that being said, make sure we are within limits to put the gear down. We are. We'll bring her around onto base. Nice view of the Lincoln Cathedral out there. It's actually a really nice day today. You know, the TBM was really a fantastic and revolutionary aircraft when it was released in the real world, because it meant that you could fly in the flight levels like an airliner 1 minute, but also get in on some pretty small strips. And with the inertial separator system, you could get in on some rugged strips as well. So we're now on short finals, slightly low on the glide slope. It's feeling really nice. A lot less twitchier than the TBM 900, I must say. Feels more manageable. That there is our decision height, which is exactly the same sound as you'd find in a real TBM, of course. I know I'm saying that a lot, but I just find that incredible, really. Slight crosswind. Here we go. I am floating a bit here. I'll take that, that's alright. There is actually a bit of wind today. Slowly introducing power, and look at that, the lag there. That's something that's going to catch you out if you're not careful. Very well modelled. It's amazing how quickly this thing gets in the air as well, and how slow you can be on your approach. Gear coming up. Right, now things are going to get interesting because I'm going to fail the gear. But I'm not going to bother going through all the systems. You can do it this way, but I'm not entirely sure how to do it. But this gives me a good opportunity to show you the fuses and how they do actually work. So, I'm now going to pop out the landing gear fuse. And I'm going to pretend we haven't seen that. And we'll go into downwind like before. Oh, guys, this looks so good in the Pimax Crystal. What a beautiful display this is. It's without question the most amazing clarity you can get in VR right now. So good. So good. So here we are now on downwind again. I'm now going to lower the gear. The gear lever has gone down. And I'm looking and thinking, nothing's happening here. Oh dear. We do not have all greens there. It's still red. We'll look outside quickly. Yep, the gear has not gone down. Right, so let's now get out our emergency checklist because we're going to have to solve this as quick as possible, really. Imagine doing this as well. You know, I know what's happened here, but you're flying along and this happens. It's going to be an amazing feeling. Quite scary, especially in VR. So here we are. We need the landing gear manual extension. Make sure we are below 178 knots, which we are. Landing gear breaker. Pull off. Well, obviously that's that. We've just done that anyway for the purpose of this test. Landing gear control. Down. It is in a down position. This is really cool now, guys. Look at this. We're now going to get to the floor panel. We're going to open this. And it'll expose the manual gear pump. We need to pump the handle 65 times. And I will just show you some shots now because I'm not going to be able to do this as well as show the outside. I'm going to have to do this 65 times, guys, with my mouse. That's pretty awful, but it would be in real life, and I like how it's a horrible thing to do, because that's exactly what it would be. So I'll show you some shots of the Just Flight tutorial series of what it looks like from the outside, and it really does. It's so slow. So painfully slow. So I'm now going to do this, guys, 65 times, and afterwards I'll get back to you. It's going to take a while. Listen. Can you hear it's actually squeaking as well as we're pulling it up and down? Oh, guys, it also helps if you make sure that you press the bypass selector to make sure it's on. So I've just been doing that and it made no difference. So I'm going to have to start again. There you go, folks. Always read the checklist. Let's see if it is going down. Yeah, they are going down ever so slowly. My word. Right then, welcome back. It's now the next day. Only kidding, but that did take quite a while. But the gear is now down, I'm pleased to say. So we're going to come in for a landing now at Waddington, so we can get the engineering team to look at this. And I've noticed the cabin temperature is quite low, so we may need to adjust the temperature. Put the fan to auto, air conditioning on, and temperature. Whack that up. So hopefully we're not going to stay too cold. There's a lot to do for a single pilot in a TBM 850, let me tell you that. And it's absolutely fantastic fun. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll make a landing back at Wickenby, since we'll pretend that's where the engineering team are. They've called in, the runway is clear, and we'll just do a low pass over the airfield so they can confirm the gear is actually down, and then we'll do a downwind to land. And call this preview video done, and I hope you've enjoyed it, guys, and I'm sure it's come across how impressed I am with this model from Black Square. For me personally, the TBM is an aircraft very close to my heart. I love it. and it's fantastic to finally see a high fidelity rendition in MSFS. I think this is easily worth the money. For those of you who appreciate the attention to detail, you're going to be flying this thing for years to come. So there we are, we've just flown over the runway. We've got confirmation that the gear is down. We're now going to come in on runway perhaps 21, I think it is. Looking at the windsock there. I'm pleased to say the temperature in the cabin is now 22 Celsius, so that's much better. I'll just take the temperature down a bit now. And yeah, never mind that. Let's get this thing on the deck. Now on finals, and this is a very short runway at Wickenby. But the TBM 850 should be able to do this, especially with the beta range. But, you know, let me know in the comments below, guys. What do you think to this Black Square TBM 850? Are you going to pick it up? I, for one, am absolutely blown away yet again with what they've done. Just the whole package, from the system's depth to the beautiful gauges, the extra failure systems, the checklists. It's such an engaging experience, highly immersive, folks. It really is, and this definitely has the right to be called study level. I swear the wind's got up a little bit. And by the way, Sim Update 13 seems to be running really well. Very smooth. Get her down. Bit of left rudder. Fantastic. We made it. We made it. So there you are, folks. That is the preview of the Black Square TBM 850. And yeah, we've been in the Pimax Crystal using the Dofer LTH2. We're using Sim Update 13. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, as always. And I'll see you again very soon. Take care. And bye for now. And look at this airfield here. I'm telling you, folks, this is my local airfield, and it truly does look exactly like this. What a time for flight simulation. I know I say it all the time, but it really is the glory days of flight simulation. Take care.